Oh, hey guys, as you can see, I got text above my head. I'm going to try something new here. It's probably not going to be very good because it's my first time, but we'll see. I was in the car earlier listening to a podcast. It was actually Strong Towns. Chuck Marone was interviewing this Canadian fellow named Tristan Cleveland, who just completed a PhD in political science on the topic of creating walkable neighborhoods, walkable downtown, in a community that doesn't have one, or in a community that's long since gone over to being an auto-centric area. And some things clicked into place, and I thought I'd share them with you. I think there is a path forward for Clarksburg, at least on paper. There's three things that need to be done. The third's absolutely the hardest. I'll share those with you. Dr. Cleveland gave 3 steps to creating a pedestrian-centered neighborhood or restoring a pedestrian-centered downtown. Number 1, you need to find an area that already has a few reasons for people to get out of their cars and walk around. If you don't have that area, you have to use government resources to create one. He used an example of him as a young planner before he had his PhD in political science. He zoned an area thinking this would be a nice mixed-use development, and he got a Walmart out of it. He had to learn fast that a developer is not going to build a luxury hotel that comes out to the curb, that comes out to the street, if there's nowhere for their people to walk to. Why would you do that? You would just put a parking lot out front. You don't want your hotel bar on a busy intersection that's like 8 lanes wide and nobody walking around. You would only do that if there was pedestrian traffic and someone might stop in on a whim as they were walking by. Oh, look, a cool bar. You have to focus your energies on an area that already has a few reasons. And if that area doesn't exist, you're going to have to create it. Fortunately, I think Clarksburg does have an area like that. So I'm going to move on to point 2. The second step, for lack of a better word, is to prefer incremental changes that are feasible within your budget and political reality. A lot of times city planners, politicians want to think big. They want to go for the big item, the big change. And the problem with that is it could take years and years and years. And then you may have to make compromises along the way to conform to various state or federal guidelines, or there's a change within the city council, and the plan just comes out completely different than what it was originally intended. Maybe the moment of opportunity for that plan passed, or maybe it was just a dumb plan to begin with, and here you are, you sunk $30 million into something. I guess in IT and different fields in the private sector, we call this failing fast. You want to find out quick whether your idea is going to work or not. You don't want to sink everything you have into a project and then find out it was never going to work. The third goal is kind of the hard one. You need a group of people, preferably office holders, that are 100% committed to the goal. All the other activities of government should promote or at least not undercut the goal. What is that goal? You want to make the neighborhood safe and pleasant for pedestrians. With this in mind, you have to understand that the car and the pedestrian are mortal enemies. Maybe that's an overstatement. But every accommodation you make to the automobile is a difficulty you place in the way of a pedestrian. An example of talking out both sides of your mouth and not being 100% committed is what we've seen in Clarksburg recently. We say we want a walkable downtown, but instead of just giving the parking lot that already exists behind the Gore Lux back to the Gore Lux to use as parking, They used to actively sabotage plans for a bocce court on the City Hall lot and wanted to put an additional parking lot there. Fortunately, the citizens rebelled against that idea, but this is an example of how cities everywhere undercut themselves. Large cities will spend billions on bike and pedestrian infrastructure and then come through and widen a road or build a highway through a park or something stupid. You need to stay 100% committed, and every other activity at least needs to keep in mind what the goal is and not interfere with it. For Clarksburg, step number 1 is actually the easiest thing. Find a place with existing foot traffic. We don't have to create that. We've still got a little bit of one. I put the first 3 on a different color, bullet point, different style, because they're the big 3 that are really going to generate the most foot traffic. And they're the closest to each other. You got your state office building, you got your county courthouse, and your federal office building. Those 3 buildings alone probably create thousands of trips a day. Moving out just a little bit past that, you have the Clarksburg Harrison County Library, Pierpont Community College, the Harrison County Senior Center, the federal courthouse that's at the old post office, that's now the federal courts, and you've got sometimes the Robinson Grand. So we already know where we want to focus our attention. I think we have a place, and within that place we have a core. Okay, so I outlined the area I was talking about in blue. That's where you will see the majority of our foot traffic in downtown. And the red area is really the core of downtown, where the most foot trips happen. We all know we have limited code enforcement capacity. We have limited police capacity. They can't be everywhere at once. We cannot possibly enforce the code on every violation in the city. We just can't do it. But the downtown is the one thing that we all share. Almost all of us in downtown share, or in Clarksburg, share the downtown. It's the one thing that people in the county see, and in the outlying counties see when they come to the federal courthouses, federal buildings, and state buildings. If anything should look nice, it should be our downtown. And I think it's possible for us to at least invest in this area right here. I don't think we should be splitting our efforts too much. We have to do basic maintenance on the other neighborhoods, but if we really want to improve something with our own money, it should be right here. And there's a method for doing this in the law. It's called a tax increment finance district. Basically, if you invest in your property within this area, whatever increase in property tax accrues to the city gets invested back into this district for a period of like 30 some years. We had that set up about 15 or so years ago. And then the city modified the boundaries to push it out into the neighborhoods and take the money that downtown was generating and demolish houses. Whatever we can do to fix that, whether that's destroying the TIF and creating a new one, fixing the boundaries, extending it, I don't know. Maybe that's not even possible, but we can maintain this. This is feasible. Okay, there's a lot I could say here, but I'm already going long. I just want to talk about staying committed. Folks are always pointing to other communities. Why can't we be like Elkins? Why can't we be like Buckhannon? Well, we could have been like Buckhannon if we stuck to the plan 30 years ago. But we went a different direction. If you're going to be like Buckhannon, you got to focus on your core downtown area and making it nicer, making it more walkable. They've taken away parking along Main Street. Everyone talks about their free parking. They've removed parking lots and put in pocket parks. They built a new building. And in that vein, if we really say we want this trendy arts culture district, maybe a bar district, whatever, no help from the city in creating any new parking lots in the area outlined in red. Maybe we can't stop people from creating one, but no help from the city. Don't go giving them land on dirt cheap leases. Don't give them land, period, if they're going to build a new parking lot. If they need new parking, we'll give them one part of what we own, or lease it to them. No zoning waivers, nothing. If you build a parking lot, you're on your own. No tax breaks, you're on your own. If you're in the blue area and you own a parking lot that's not up to code, then we get you some tax deductions for it. Almost every parking lot in the blue area is not up to code. There's a few that are, but most are not. You know, it requires a certain amount of shade trees for X number of spaces. If the parking lot, butts up against a building, there's supposed to be a sidewalk between the lot and the building. There's supposed to be parking bumpers or blocks, adequate draining, 5 foot of screening. None of this stuff exists in most spots. So you say, if you want to make your business look better, if you want to make the downtown look better, if you want to create shade and some trees to absorb pollution and make it just a better, safer, friendlier walking environment, then you can deduct the tax of that, or the cost of that, from your B&O taxes for the next 10 years or whatever. Huh? Don't crack the whip, just give it an incentive. No more building permits for construction that violates the zoning in the blue area. There's basic architectural principles that have been developed over the millennia, like the main entrance to the building should front on the main street, or at least on the corner. Yet the new post office, its main entrance is in the back of the building. It should never have been approved. The state building, although I like the fact we got a new building, it fronts to the parking lot. Just don't allow this stuff. And I hate to bring this up. Orpheum Park does not meet zoning. Now, I would argue we should change the zoning code for that, but not just for one person or to cut somebody a deal. Rationalize the zoning code and enforce it within the blue area. Maybe we can't do it across the whole town, but we can do it in the blue area. That's what everybody sees. That's where we should look good. We've got one big wound, gaping chest wound in the middle of our downtown, and that's Jackson Square. I know a lot of people like the way it looks. They want an architecture world. But the fact is, it sits there, radiates heat, because it's black asphalt. It's half full at best during the day. So take the covered pavilion area and make it into a farmer's market. And then out in the flat parking, surface parking lot, fix it. Fix the deteriorating bricks and the off-color bricks and repoint some stuff and fix it. And then maybe add some trees like the rest of the parking lot should have. Follow our own zoning codes. Put some pedestrian features in there. Maybe a sidewalk down through the center area. I know we want to pretend that it's some kind of piazza. It's not. It's not. We haven't used it for a concert in how long? If we want to be a piazza, at least put some pavers of cobblestone down instead of asphalt. Do something with it. The thing is, nothing I've proposed costs that much money. I'm not saying put $25 million into a theater or put $30 million into Waldo or borrow $12 million to redo all the sidewalks. I'm not saying any of that. I've proposed actually fairly incremental changes. It just takes the political will to do it. I'm not sure that Clarksburg has that. But there is a path forward. It doesn't have to be exactly my path. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe someone will steal some of my ideas. That's fine. That's fine. If nothing else, the time and date stamp on my video will be up on YouTube. Anyone will see it and know who stole it from who. Have a blessed evening. I'll ask you later.